Testing. I think it's working. Testing. I indeed it's working. No, it defaulted to something else, so I had to check. I had to check. Alright, story time. What's in the mail? Are you alive? Shit, give me that. Alright. Archive, I guess. Let's read some books. My throat's getting better. If only slightly. On to volume 3, Draft Hillicho Ballads. Might have to look that up. Give me a second. Draft Hillicho Ballads. Poetry Exchange Mission. Ah, yes. The one with Elon Musk. Haven't been getting those of late, so don't know what that's about. Heart's Desire? I guess it's Heart's Desire. I really want to read what Byakugo collection, but yes, it's just the newest book, so I'm gonna have to read it in order. Moonlight. Legend tells of a corner of the city that has been forgotten by the wind. To reach that place, one must stand before the fountain and close their eyes, then wait for 35 heartbeats, then walk 7 circles clockwise around the fountain, followed by 7 further circles anti-clockwise. Upon opening one's eyes, you'll find they have arrived at a little shop. Excuse me, is anyone there? Vega asked timidly as she stepped through the goddammit. As the door closed behind her, the bell that hung from it rang out, its crisp and clear sound filling the room and cutting through the dimly lit drudgery. The dull glow of twilight seeped gently through the frosted glass of the display case windows. Stacks of curious objects filled every part of the room. Vega made her way through the store cautiously, for fear of stepping on something and breaking it. There was no answer. Vega now began to examine the objects around her more closely. An obscure mechanical component, an ornate ancient lyre, a broken ceramic tile engraved with incomprehensible markings, a pair of old manacles, dented and scratched from years of use, a forgotten crown that once belonged to an aristocrat. At some point as she was inspecting these objects of no apparent utility, a shopkeeper appeared beside her. The shopkeeper's eyes were like those of a fox, with long, slender pupils at their center. That fang. Wait, is it a woman or is it a man? Okay, she spoke softly. Aye, that fang once belonged to a wolf king. Aside from the gods, it is probably the only thing left that remembers that land the way it used to be. Every inch of it covered in ice and snow. She spoke softly. Welcome to the store. Do you see anything that takes your fancy? Do you have anything here that can help someone to forget? Why, certainly. Vega clutched her chest as she pursued the question further. To forget anything? Even someone very important? The fox-eyed shopkeeper's expression turned stern, and she nodded as she continued. I know that the one you wish to forget is a young man with limpid eyes as clear as moonlight. He disappeared a long time ago and left a deep hole in your heart. Nothing else can fill that hole. All other blessings, no matter how joyful they may be, feel elusive and out of your reach, just like the moonlight before your eyes. Vega was stunned into silence. All she could do was nod along. The fox-eyed shopkeeper smiled and, seemingly out of nowhere, presented a bottle of wine. This wine will help you forget your pain. Is Vega venti? Long ago, in the age when the icy winds blew, our forebears brewed this wine in secret, deep within the frozen earth, to give them the strength to keep surviving. The method they used to brew this kind of wine was forgotten when the people's fate took a turn for the better, and their lives became more joyful. She tilted the wine bottle back and forth. There is not much left, and since it seems you have an affinity with this store, this one is for free, provided, of course, that this is what you really want. Vega took the goblet of wine from the fox-eyed shopkeeper's hand. The goblet must once have been adorned with a precious gemstone, but it had since been removed, and now the only clue to its existence was the empty, lonely indentation it had left behind. When Vega regained consciousness, she was stood in front of the fountain. What am I doing here? She wondered to herself, as the moon shone down brightly. She began briskly walking back home. The glow of twilight had all but disappeared now, and if she didn't get back soon, she had forgotten all about the strange store, from the route that had taken her there to everything that had happened inside. She's gone, the fox-eyed shopkeeper said after the door had shut and the bell had stopped ringing. A young man, one with limpid eyes as bright as moonlight, stepped into view from the back of the store. Thank you. How many times has she visited now? 7. 7 times. The young man hesitated for a moment and then asked, Does the wine really work? It's not that I don't trust you, it's just... The shopkeeper smiled, though the meaning of her smile was ambiguous. This wine causes those who drink it to forget their pain, but your shared history is not a painful thing for her. All this wine can do is to help her temporarily forget her longing for you and the grief of losing you. Whenever she sees the moonlight, she will see you reflected in it, and the memories will start coming back. The time you met at Ludi Harpastum, the afternoon spent beneath the tree at Windrise, Gadang, the view from Cape Oath, the time you sneaked out of the midsummer celebrations together, hand in hand, the song and the feathered cape you offered to her at the assembly of the travelling bards. All of these are memories she will be reluctant to part with. I do have another bottle of wine in my shop, one that can make someone truly forget everything. If you wish, I could give her that to drink instead. She smiled slightly as she watched the young man. After a long silence, he let out a sigh. Tell me. Tell me, why do you insist on leaving her? Well, it's this. This is the reason. The young man reached into his breast pocket and took out a spherical object made of crystal. Unknown symbols could be discerned faintly flickering inside it. I am led to believe that people who receive one of these will one day disappear from this world. Spherical object made of crystal. Is that a vision? If that is so, then the earlier I leave the better. She is still young. If she forgets me now, then she will still have time. Well, 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 sneered the shopkeeper. So, you are one of the chosen. It would appear so, but do you know anything about what happens to the chosen in the end? The young man asked eagerly. She forced a smile but did not reply. I should be leaving. Now I am the owner of this thing. I suppose I should get on with doing the things that are expected of me. And if she returns, what would you have me do? I think we should leave her to handle it on her own. What a heartless man you are. That's a vision. He got a vision. But he's afraid. Something happens to vision bearers, apparently. Volume 2. Oh wait, I forgot to do this. Genshin fantasy novel. A story is centered around a mysterious antique shop, widely popular among Taiwat. Antique shop? You mean well, I forget the name of it. The one in the middle of Leah. Oh, not Leah. Mondstadt. Some sort of where I spend my fucking sigils? Probably. Glaze. Legend tells of a corner of the harbor that has been forgotten by the mountain rocks and the sound of the crashing waves. To reach that place, one must stand in the sea breeze and close their eyes. Walk 49 steps away from the clamor of the crowds. Then wait till the sound of one's own heartbeat drowns out the voices in the background. Upon opening one's eyes, one will find they have arrived at a little shop. I guess this is Leo's version of the shop. Hello? Okay, it's a he. Hello? Anyone in? Yuan called out. He tried the door and let himself in. The bell continued to ring after the door had closed, and as he made his way further inside, the faint sound of crashing waves seeped into the store, like a distant memory. Piles of seemingly random artifacts were stacked all the way through, from where he stood to the other end of the long and narrow shop. Yuan looked apprehensively at the range of items throughout the store, somewhat intimidated by the thought of his silken robes being covered in dust. That was potentially even older than he. Okay, so it's an old man. Now, where's the silken robe? Old lanterns made of now yellowing paper. A giant fang from some unknown monster. Well, we know what that fang's from, I guess. Brilliant black aerosidorite from the depths of space. A dull gold-colored geometric object built with a mortise and tenon crafted from an unknown material. What? Dull gold-colored geometric object. Geometric object. Well, can you describe what type of geometry that object is? Is it a square? Is it a circle? Triangle? What is it? Mortise and tenon? I don't even know what the fuck that is. But that is interesting. I have a feeling that that's actually relevant. I have no idea what the hell that is. Can't even picture it. But it is very mysterious. As he picked up a small bottle filled with wine, a fine, white crystalline powder. Oh, he found cocaine. He heard a soft voice coming from someone who was now stood next to him. That is salt formed from the residue of an ancient Archon's tears. Is it Havria? Is it her, the goddess Salt's tears? The voice caught him off guard, breaking the long silence like a stone disrupts the surface of a pool of still water. Startled, he dropped the bottle he held in his hand, but the sound of smashing glass his ears were anticipating never came. The shopkeeper, who had fox-like eyes with slender lines for pupils, had somehow caught the bottle and returned it to its place on the shelf. I can't remember who it was, but someone recommended this place to me. She gave a slight nod and acknowledged she had heard him, but was ambiguous as to what she thought about it. Welcome to the store. Do you see anything that takes your fancy? I'm looking for a gift for... She's a girl I like. I've been thinking of proposing to her, and I'd like to have a gift to go with it. Okay, so he's not that old, but he's apparently older, I guess. Middle-aged man or something, I don't know. Yuan nervously bit his lower lip as he looked up to face the shopkeeper directly. She had mysterious golden eyes that reminded him of cool lapis. They looked at each other for a long time in silence. Finally, she spoke. Very well. Is it her? Is he proposing her? Her slender figure disappeared back into the depths of the store. When she returned, she held in her hand an object that gave off a faint iridescent glow. On closer inspection, it was revealed to be an exquisitely cut, 10-sided illuminating crystal. 10-sided. Okay. I trust you have heard the legend of the Crystal Heart? He hadn't, but he nodded anyway. It is made from a variety of crystal called illuminating crystal. Man-made versions exist, but they are pale imitations. True illuminating crystal is capable of revealing the secret of one's heart, for it is formed from the unfulfilled desire and grief of illuminated beasts of the highest order when they reach the end of their life. Please, take a look. She gestured to Yuan that they should both watch the faintly flashing images emerging from within the crystal. Tens of thousands of years flashed by before his eyes, like the continuous shifting of the clouds. Stars turned to water and water turned to land. Snow melted and gave way to green pastures. Rivers cut their way through the open country. He watched cities rise like ants' nests, and kingdoms topple like toy building blocks. I can actually imagine that. The twilight grew dim, moonlight zigzagging its way across the uneven surface of the ocean. When Yuan regained consciousness, he found himself walking by the docks. The crystal he held tightly in his hand had become warm, as if blood pulsed through it. This is a wondrous crystal heart, indeed, he thought to himself, increasing his pace as he walked on, under the moonlight. All I need to do is give this to her. Once that's done, then I must. The bell that hung from the door rang out, crisp and clear. Welcome to the store. Do you see anything that takes your fancy? I'd like to exchange this. Well, I don't know if it counts as a gemstone or... The finely cut crystal sparkled brightly, scattering rays of light throughout the room. It was given to me by a man who's been pursuing me. He said that if we looked into it together, we would see many marvelous things. But somehow, I just find it makes me feel uncomfortable. It's a beautiful gem, of course. Each time I think of him, I get so exasperated. So I wondered if this store would be willing to take it off my hands. I understand. but this is a highly prized 10-sided illuminating crystal. For what quantity of Mora would you be willing to part with it? Actually, I do not want for money, but let me see. What's this? It looks like salt. It's about time I went to Salteray to pay my respects again. If it's okay with you, this is all I need in return for the gem. The fox-eyed shopkeeper sat alone at the back of the shop, turning the geometrically flawless crystal in her hand. In you, I have seen unpleasant things. That fellow's true nature. It is unbelievable. It is upsetting. That said, when it comes down to it, he is but a low-life opportunist who wished to marry into a wealthy and prestigious family in the salt industry, and will do whatever it is necessary to achieve his wish. Had this not come to light, it is entirely possible that they may still have enjoyed a happy life together. Despite it not being born out of genuine mutual affection. After all, happiness is but a state of mind. It is not related to love. She took a dainty sip of wine and smiled mockingly at the thought of her own vanity. But the fact is, I simply have zero tolerance for people like that. On the other hand, it is delightfully straightforward, opening up to a complete stranger. I know that once he sets foot outside that door, we never have to meet one another again, so it doesn't matter if I reveal a little truth to him. Perversely, the closer two people become, the more one seeks to gain, and so you must be on your guard. But how could he have known? I'm sorry. This has all been quite the imposition on you, but it is truly wonderful to have this back. She lowered her gaze and continued. This is, after all, your heart that you have left behind. I will be sure to treasure it, but don't you think it's fun, taking a trip down the world once in a while, seeing what people are like nowadays? Who's talking? Who's... Is it just the shopkeeper that's talking? Yeah, I think it is the shopkeeper talking. I thought it was the other girl, but no, it's all shopkeeper. So, taking a trip down into the world once in a while. See how people are like nowadays. Huh. Volume 3, Sapphire. Legend tells of a corner of the city has been forgotten by the wind, said Sumeru. To reach that place, one must stand in the center of the plaza and close their eyes. Or maybe we'll actually be able to envision some of Sumeru. Walk 7 circles clockwise around the plaza, followed by 7 anti-clockwise circles. Take 40 paces forward, and then wait till the cries of the bird can no longer be heard in the wind. Upon opening one's eyes, one will find they arrived at a little shop. Plaza. Forgotten by the wind. But there are birds in the wind, so I don't know, that's kind of weird, but whatever. The shopkeeper, who had fox-like eyes with slender lines for pupils, opened the glass double doors to let in the bright moonlight, which seemed to sweep up the stardust from across the night sky and sprinkle it down upon the counter. Everything from the ostentatious flowers, the dust-covered harpastum, and the old books rendered illegible by years of erosion to the now stringless old longbow, appeared as the opulent halls of the ruling aristocrats might have done in times of old, covered in a shiny silver coating, though this was a silver. It came from the cold light of the night sky. Hey, business any good these days? This audacious alternative to the courteous greeting most people would opt for in the circumstances came from somewhere deep in the back of the shop. The shopkeeper turned around. A familiar customer was sat nonchalantly on her armchair in the part of the shop that the moonlight did not reach. Business is fine, but these days it would appear I need to watch out for burglars. The shopkeeper responded with a slight smile. That's it? You're gonna turn away your oldest customer just like that? Customer let out a sigh. There's nothing in your shop that's worth me spending money on anyway. I mean, if I really had to pick something. Well, how was the hunt? What do you mean? You think I'm just here to offload some loot again? The hunter let out a displeased grunt at the shopkeeper's insinuation. But the shopkeeper continued to smile. Why, of course not. When have I ever heard you use the word loot before? On the contrary, all the exchanged goods, free gifts, philanthropic donations, bestowals, and so on, that you have so generously given over the years, why, they must make you the most charitably inclined burglar to roam the streets, no? Well, that's not why I'm here this time. This time I'm here to ask for something from you. The wine. That special wine you've got that helps you forget about the one you longed for. That you long for. Though a burglar by trade, this customer was nevertheless valiant at heart. His words lacked courtesy, but the smile on his face was entirely earnest. I'm terribly sorry. Somebody has already bought it. He looked, and somehow she was not now holding in her hand the wine flask that he had discreetly slipped into his breast pocket earlier. Each item in this store is spoken for. This particular one has already been bought by a customer who will turn up at some point in the future. Oh. You can reserve shit in this store, Kadeen. It's beyond space time. This store. Seems your sleight of hand is superior to my own. What a disgrace I am. The burglar of valor said with a pained smile. I discovered recently that the feeling of longing for someone is heavier to carry than gold. In my line of work, I am forever leaping between rooftops and running along rafters. I need to cut out whatever unnecessary weight I can. I wonder if the girl with the sapphire blue eyes feels the same weight I feel. So there's a thief in Fontaine? Maybe Fontaine. Fontaine? No, Fontaine. Sumeru. Reading all this reminds me of, the game Thief. Suddenly, the shopkeeper was startled by the jingle of the doorbell. The customer who had just arrived was a blue-eyed sorceress, with a pole in her hand and a tall, slender figure to match. The marks on her face bore witness to her persecution by the aristocrats. So she must be pretty old. Wait. This is not Mona's master, is it? Ignoring the piles of random objects strewn around the store, she marched straight to the counter like a sword lunging toward its opponent's heart. Welcome to the store. Do you see anything that takes your fancy? I have an item I wish to exchange. Her tone sounded cold but fragile, like thin ice in the moment that it shatters. As the sorceress spoke, she placed a giant blue crystal onto the counter. A burglar pried this from an aristocrat's silver goblet. He gave it to me as a gift, and then I was punished by my master for it. Master? Aristocrat? So there's still aristocrats in Sumeru? Unless it's not even Sumeru at all. I only know of Mondstadt having aristocrats, but But that was many years ago. I had thought that with the passage of time my anger would be quenched and my desire to see him again would fade away. Very well. What sum of Mora do you ask for in return? The sorceress gestured toward the tableware cabinet, in which stood aristocrat's silver goblet with its gemstone missing. The fox-eyed shopkeeper turned the crystal in her hand, flooding the room with the brilliant blue light that reflected off its surface. I see. Well, provided that this is what you really want. When a person encounters a setback, the worry that everything shall come to a fruitless conclusion appears. The advent of fear causes cracks to appear in the mind. Death follows easily in the footsteps of fear, like a damp cold that, to the unprepared, pierces to the bone. For many, it is only in the moment that death is upon them, that it dawns on them that their weakness has now been targeted with fatal consequences, and that at some point, therefore, that weakness must have been exposed. Lifting the blue crystal up into the moonlight, the shopkeeper gazed at it intently with her fox-like eyes with slender lines for pupils. She watched with delight as the crest of the ruling family came into view, faded out, and came back into view once more. Legends claim that peering into a pure gemstone at a specific time can reveal the past, the future, and even someone's true nature. Just as legends claim that somewhere in the world there is a field of dandelions as vast as the sea, and that once there were 3 bright moons in the night sky named Aria, Sonnet, and Canon, sisters who were parted by death in a great catastrophe, or that there was once a witch who could see death before it took place, but in the end herself died from a broken heart as she who had stolen it from her waited in distant lands longing to see her again. What? She stole it from herself? One thing she knew for certain was that even if she were to abandon these objects, the legends attached to them would not disappear, and the way the stories ended could not be undone. In which case, it seemed to make sense to collect all the legends and stories she could in her shop. Okay. Same dealio. Heart of Stone. Legend tells of a corner of the harbor that has been forgotten by the mountain rocks and the sound of crashing waves. Leo again. To reach that place, one will stand in the sea breeze, close their eyes before putting ice steps away from the cloud of the city streets, and then way into the complete silence, place the sound of voices in the background. The remaining sound being anyone's heartbeat. Upon opening one's eyes, I will find they arrived at a little shop. Is anybody in? The man tapped on the front door as he called out. He was draped in a raincoat. He peered in through the dusty windows at the objects on display around the store. A bottle of glimmering stardust, a broken blade that gleamed like ice, a painting on a roll of paper that the years had turned yellow, an elixir that gave off a mysterious aurora, a tile thinly coated with a gel-like substance. He entered the store. The door closed behind him. He walked over to the counter and began inspecting the weird and wonderful objects in the store. All seemed to her to be relics from a bygone era. Then a soft female voice came from beside him. Welcome to the store. Do you see anything that takes your fancy? Taken by surprise, he turned to face the speaker, a fox-eyed shopkeeper, who let out a faint smile. Here's the thing. I'm looking for a certain something that can help me settle an old score. The old man spoke with a voice. The man spoke with a voice that was clear and resonant, but that had a hint of apprehensiveness about it, one which did not seem to fit with his physical appearance. Oh, very well then. The shopkeeper's golden fox-like eyes flickered as she examined a new customer of hers, who was draped in a soaking wet raincoat. She gave a nod. She leaned down to reach in the bottom of the cabinet. When she stood up a moment later, she was holding a large and beautiful piece of coral lapis. The coral lapis in the shopkeeper's hand gently glowed a dark shade of gold, much in the same way that her eyes did. The man took the stone from her hand and studied it closely at the moonlight. In this light, the coral lapis seemed to reveal a deep turbulence concealed within its soft golden hue. His hands were still trembling. Coral lapis is the soul of the rocks. Even the hardest and most resilient of rocks will, over time, eventually produce a pure, limpid soul. The shopkeeper's voice seemed to be coming from a distant place. The man gave a nod. This is precisely what I was looking for. The man solemnly responded and placed a heavy sack of mora upon the counter. Then he left the store and ventured off into the midnight rain. That's what happened. After the shopkeeper had spoken, she narrowed her fox-like eyes and examined the customer in front of her. Did he say anything at all, or nothing else at all? Judging by his appearance, the young man was presumably a minor. His eyes betrayed an urgency that he could not contain. But the shopkeeper responded simply by calmly shaking her head. He left a sack of mora with bloodstains on the outside, like a pool of water. The shopkeeper's voice was calm and still, but also icy cold. That's precisely what I was looking for. The young man let out a long sigh. It seemed he wanted to evade the golden gaze of the fox-eyed shopkeeper. In return, I will give you a story. The shopkeeper nodded her head to indicate that he should continue. That man in the raincoat. I used to go mining with him up in the mountains. I wanted to make a name for myself. He just wanted to support his family. One rainy night we broke open a rock to find that substantial piece of coral lapis inside. The pure golden glow that radiated from its surface was a more breathtaking sight to behold than all of the marvels in June cars put together. We agreed that we would split it 50-50 once we got back to Liyue Harbor, but that night, under the cover of the deafening roar of the torrential rain, that discreetly made it so that the cliff top would be his final resting place. I did it because I was scared. I couldn't trust him. I couldn't trust the promise that, aside from ourselves, only the Adepti could have heard. And they've probably imaginary anyway. So fear won me over. I could bring myself to accept that the whole sum would be mine. I could be mine if I was willing to get the blood on my hands, but I couldn't bring myself to accept the risk of traveling with a stranger. The following morning I let down my rope and began my descent down the cliff. I had taken maybe 4 steps, 5 or 6 perhaps, and I was adjusting my footing on the rock when suddenly I felt the rope trembling in the palm of my hands. Instantly that same trembling permeated every fibre of my being. I lifted my head to look at the rope, but it was too late. The last thing I remember seeing was the torn rope fibers at the end of the snapped rope. Only a hunting knife could have made a clean cut like that. I am sure of it. Then, in the end, you two settled your score. The fox-eyed shopkeeper smiled so faintly it was all but indiscernible. He takes the coral lapis and you take the whole sum of money for it. The young man did not say much in reply. Legends claim that core lapis is the soul of the rocks of the earth, and that the stronger the life force of the rock, the more power it possesses to reveal a person's true nature. Some say that even after its owner has left the world, core lapis will bring their unfulfilled desire and regret back into it, waiting for one with the ability to fulfill them. So the legends claim. And now been around 4 hours since the two strange customers had left the store. The rain continued to pour down. The shopkeeper stood by the window for a long time, peering out at the dark street engulfed in misty rain. But is the score truly settled? And are they now truly free? She spoke as if posing a question to a curtain of rain, but knowing that the answer would never come. "'Cause the rain can't tell you that, silly woman." I don't know why. Every time I want to do this, my fucking nose gets blocked. I can't do shit. Every fucking time, man. Every fucking time. Let's kill some whopper flowers. Give my throat a little rest. I'm gonna enjoy this view. Death from above.
魂よ、油断した。股間奥義。震えなさい。それ。許さない。雨描きがたし。動くべきだ。命ずる。Don't think I really want to climb up or anything else. Should I upgrade the dash? I mean, would it matter? It's a tiny bit more damage, but you know. Oh yeah, and I think I'll wish I could do a 10 wish for this, because I might kind of after Sayu and Rosaria. Rosaria C4 and Sayu C6, so I need 3 Sayus and 1 Rosaria. Yeah, let's do one wish. Oh, 110 wish. Okay. I'm not actually out there, Ayaka. What you give me, deal. I actually love that. Mona, I love Mona. Kaching? Hell yeah. As they always say, I see this as an absolute win. Doesn't matter who I get. Well, hopefully not Jean again or Chi-Chi. Well, Chi-Chi. I'm not sure. See one Chi-Chi. Well, there you go. I got Ayaka. Was not planning on it, but I'll take it. Could you give me a Sayu as well? Oh, thank you. Oh, I love it. I love it. Huh? Oh yeah. Let's look at the top one and it's like, what? It's like, I don't know, C6 Sayuman. Then it's at the bottom. So yeah. Yeah. Daughter of the Yashiro Commission's Kamisato clan. I don't like the odds that I'm gonna get on fucking what do you call it? Yelan. Might be a ways off. Trigger swell. You'd love to see it. This one is not as important as this one. Holy shit. This one changes her build entirely. And it makes it fucking epic. This will make her extremely strong, by God. I don't think I've seen anything stronger. Hey, here's Ayaka.
刀は技を支え
Who's bleed? Oh, what do you even scale off? I think you want a lot of attack. Double blade? Constellation. Activation, stamina consumption. Stamina drain 15 per second. Fusion duration 5 seconds. Oh, well, that's a dash. Okay. Yeah, this just attack. I think it's just attack. Well, I might just pop you into another team comp. Since you're mainly cryo based, can't really pop it in this because this team is made for Yelan main. Let's see.
よろしくお願いいたします
Remove everyone. I'm gonna have to build another team. Center around Ayaka.
よろしくお願いいたします
I think this will use Diona as well.
やっぱり私がいなきゃダメだね。
Yes, a melting? How about a melting? It sounds pretty good, except Bennett and Thingy will just cancel each other out, which is not entirely ideal. Shinyan, she boosts physical damage, which is not exactly ideal with the Ayaka. Yeah.
待ちきれない。
Is this the type of melt that I want? Then it needs some. No, it already has Diona, so it's fine. Melt, melt, melt. I'm gonna have to take a look at Shinyon a bit more.
最高にロックなチョイスだ。
Because she seems to be the most suitable candidate. But I'm not entirely too sure how she works. Dealing fire damage, forming a shield, my audience passion, shield absorption is based on Shinyon's defense, not my opponent's hit. Okay, okay, okay. Intimate pyro, that's actually pretty good. Well, that's if there's a lot of them. Infuse Shinyon with pyro, it's 250% damage absorption, effectiveness against pyro. Pyro. Launching opponents, it deals physical damage to them, hyping up the crowd, intensity on the atmosphere will cause explosions to deal pyro damage to nearby opponents. That's it. Pyro dot. Number of opponents sweeping further must hit, trigger each. Okay. That's pretty good. Character shielded by sweeping further, deal 15% increased physical damage. You see? There. That's it. This is the kicker. She boosts physical damage. But that intermittent pyro is actually pretty nice. I might set this as my main party for new. Diona, come back.
やっぱり私がいなきゃダメだね。
Okay, that's pretty good. So now I need to build up Ayaka Shinyan. Okay. I guess I could give you the Blizzard Strayer set that Chongyun has. I need to build a better one as well. But this will do. Chongyun. There you are. Yeah, that's a pretty horrible timepiece. Wonder if I have a better one. Probably not, right? Okay. No. No. Yep, I don't have a better one. Cryo damage? Hell yeah. Last Blizzard Strayer. It's terrible. Blizzard Strayer is down here, I think. Defense and Elemental Mastery. Yep. Not good. I'm gonna have to hunt a better set for Blizzard Strayer. So that thing is terrible. Terribly. Quite a bit of waste, but you know, whatever. Ascend.
感謝いたします。あなたとの手合わせからいろいろなものが学べました。刀は技を支え。
I can't believe it, actually. America. Yeah, well. What did I just get? I got this. Normal and charge attacks to 30% increased damage for 6 seconds. Yorka. Okay. Yeah, that sounds normal. Power application at the end of Kamisoto Senhou hits an opponent. Gains the following effects: restores 10 stamina. Oh, gains 80% critical. Oh, very nice. Ah, perpetual mechanical array.
ご指導あり。
The thing is actually
刀は技を支え。匠は宝を有す。
You want one of these? I can afford the next one, but the one after that I'm not too sure. Shit. Do. Shinyan. I'll have you leveled up as well. Okay, you need these. Not too sure if I can actually get used to that, actually. But we'll work on it. I need the jades, I need the things. Man, what did this stream turn into? I'm meant to be reading books. Man, and then I ended up building a team centered around Ayaka. Ayaka, Meltica. I came over here, but I have no. Yes, I have no electro thing. Is there one of those electro things here?
迷ってらっしゃるなら大事にそうよ。
Oh, you fucker. I knew it was you. I was like, huh? Pretty sure I got that. It's like, wait a minute. I remember that. That piece of shit. Oh, come on, it's not Sayu. I need an electro character. Sure. Do it.
姿を見せよ、オズ。
Sakura Blues. Take all of those.
在の名において答えなさい。
Oh, I thought it would actually work, but it doesn't. Oh. Don't believe I have enough yet. Oh, I do.
刀は技
Yeah, I always keep my healer at the down button. And that is Diona. Oh yeah, I have to equip Diona. Don't I? Yeah. Damn it! Fucking hell! There we go. We want the recharge one, I think. What's the scale off? Max HP. Okay. Okay, I got you. Well, recharge will actually be better, I suppose. Favonius Audible. Sacrificial bow. And its own cooldown. That's not exactly necessary. Crit hits give you more elemental particles. Definitely yes. Alright, you get to take Bennett's stuff. How about that? Bennett, I'm sorry buddy, but I'm gonna need your stuff. Tenacity of the Melolith. Actually pretty good. Too bad it's a HP helmet. God dang it. HP. Bennett. Oh, I didn't even max it out. Oh well, whatever. I think this is the only set that gives you HP. Therefore, the best set for her. I wonder, is this shield? Yeah, it's based on HP as well. So yes, makes sense for her to have a shit ton of HP. Like. You'll be a little tank. How about that? Alright, Shinyan. Gotta build you. I just want to see if she can take someone else's stuff. Wutao. Pyro increases overload and burning damage. Increases vaporize. Melt damage by 15%. I suppose. I don't think I'll be using Hutar for a while, but it's HP based. So that's already wrong. Oh boy, let's switch back. Take it back. So she's built on defense, which
which means she needs albedo stuff, which is a bit weird, but you know, whatever. Nice show on defense right there. Damn. I'm pretty sure that's not the most defense I have on a flower. 13.9. Yeah, even this is more. God damn it. If only that defense wasn't there. The rest of it is fucking awesome. Yes, has more defense. Fucking hell. But what can you do? What can you do? Alright, let's give you a proper weapon. You scale enough of defense. I don't think I have a defense thing. Right. I think I like this one, the one that Chongyun has. So I'll just probably take that, or maybe this. Taking damage gives you a shield. You know, in case you want another. No, that's stupid. As far as I know, her cooldown is kind of long. So, you know, it would be better if she actually has that problem. Well, yeah, new build, new year, new build, I guess. Did you use finger guns? Alright, let's go and ascend them. Just have it like this. Yeah, finger guns. God damn it. You're not Sayu. Why are you even worse? There. Yeah, it's gonna take some getting used to that thing. I need like 3 of these. Who's actually good at making these? I don't know. 3 of these. Ascend. Content send me your blessing.
ますます余裕を感じられるようになります。
Man, she's getting a lot of crit damage. Gonna need more of these. Burning through them. Nice rock and roll. I think that's the one that increases physical damage. So useless. Oh, not really, but you know, pretty much. Oops. Well, that's about as much as I can do for the new. What do you ascend with?
刀は技を支え、匠は宝を有す。
You have enough, but you need nightshade or violet grass. Why do I keep calling it nightshade? Yeah. Anyway, let's go read some more books. After all that, let's read some books. Tipo sales. Might actually pay that salesman a visit. Chubby? Chubby tubby? Tubby chubby? Bubby? There it is. Yep.
This is what makes her awesome. Hey, chubby.
わしは人海の鬼神君なり四方を
Yes, yes, whatever.
回帰は強いて求めるものではない
Whatever. Oh, a crane. Radiant spin crystals. Been looking for these. Journey of Hope, Mild Waves. I think they're implementing the Radiant Spin Crystal thing. That's why it's still under maintenance. So the only one that's friendship level 10, I think, is Shangling. Nothing I can do about it, you know. She's pretty much the best pyro applicator. Well, ult is. Burst
刀
is.
は技を支え匠は宝を有す
Suppose I should level these up as well. Maybe I should level up signature mix first. Oh well, whatever. I need more freedom. More freedom.
刀はお茶と同じく丁寧に味わってこそ本来の趣がわかるものです
It's gonna get expensive, isn't it?
刀は技を支え匠は宝を有す
Yep, not enough. Need more of the Kageuchi handguard. I would not have thought that I would actually spend that much. But turns out, yes, you do spend that much. You're trying to level up a character all the way up.
オイラの最高の仲間来たんだな
I meant to sit, but you know.
何か興味のある話題はあるか
You know what? Good morning, Paimon.
おはようオイラにうまいもんを食べさせてくれよオイラいつでも出発できるぜ
Yes, but before that, it's story time. Alright, archive. What are we up to? Hex and Hood. Oh no, it's so long. Look at the scroll bar. The scroll thingy. So long. Or maybe there's short volumes, who knows. Volume 1. Sometimes feelings are like the summer rain, coming out of nowhere and catching you unprepared. The nostalgic summer story set in the age of aristocrats begins right here. Okay. As is known to all, the Lawrence clan is a noble family of considerable notoriety. The nobles idle away their time, extorting the common folk to furnish their lavish lifestyles. They lead licentious lives? Under the cruel governance, countless unspeakable crimes are committed against the people. Although the common folk unanimously resent the nobles' greed, they are powerless to speak a single word against them. Young Dietrich was a high-born noble. He hadn't yet committed any deplorable acts at his tender age. In fact, his swordsmanship was reputedly exceptional among the noble circles. If you wish to find something to cavil about, Henry Cavill,
it would have been his short temper and chronic delusion that the whole universe revolved around him. Such traits, of course, are not uncommon among the sons of nobility, so it wasn't of any major concern. However, given that he was born into the Lawrence family name, it was only a matter of time before he would get drafted into the ranks of the other scoundrels. It was at this time that the young scoundrel decided upon the first reckless act of his life. A short while earlier, Dietrich had made up his mind to skip the Grand Mage's discourse on the elements in favor of a bit of fun outside the confines of the city. As he pressed his way through the streets crowded with commoners, his gaze fell upon a young lass with blonde hair and blue eyes. Dietrich was at a loss for words, for the emotions that bubbled in his heart at that moment. The only thing he was certain of was that his heart had never thumped so loudly or so uncontrollably within his chest. So, this must be how dear mother feels when she sees her kitty. As Dietrich kept thinking in his heart, he suddenly found himself moving towards where she was standing. Much to his dismay, the young commoner girl didn't so much as bat an eyelid at him. After making his identity known to her, she didn't display even the slightest sign of any interest. Convinced that this commoner didn't understand what was good for her, he decided that he would carry her off under the cover of night. Once I take her, I'll lock her away in a cage, just like dear mother would when her kitty is being naughty. Okay. Yes. That's a bit strange, but moving on. Money doesn't solve all your problems, but it can certainly solve a lot of them. A young woman's summer vacation in Mondstadt opens to the melodic tune of a symphonic Song of Mora. Oh, nice. The plebeian lass arrived in the city on one fine sunny day. Her long golden hair shone like the spring sunshine, and her blue eyes sparkled like the gleaming waves in the afternoon sun. It's hard to imagine how such a girl could travel alone from the monster-infested outskirts all the way to the city. To call her suspect would only be an insult to her beauty. Thus shouted the drunken gate sentry among the clamor of the crowded tavern. His earnings from guarding the gate that day were especially bountiful, enough to keep his cup brimming until dawn at least. We all know you were just dumbstruck by her beauty. The man next to him pulled no punches. Ha! What do you know? Do I look like one to go frolicking after ladies? I'll show you what I really have my eye on. The soldier promptly pulled out his money purse and shook it in his hand. Good heavens! Today, drinks are on you! You heard the man, drinks all around. I'm just worried that one more will be one too many for you. So this traveling scholar, who went by the name of Naughty, settled into her newfound life in the city. Naughty spoke in a quiet, gentle manner. A rumor eventually began floating around the streets, claiming that if you exchanged a few words with Naughty during the day, you would have sweet dreams the following night. Apart from this, the new girl didn't disturb the lives of those in the city in any manner. After all, the people not only had their daily lives to deal with, but also the constant oppression from the nobility. Oh, I thought life in the city would be simple. I never imagined it would be like this. As rays of sunset filled her room, she tilted her head and rested it on her hands. Sitting beside the table, her fingers seemed to be circling around something. Her words flowed like a magical chant, with the power to persuade people into believing almost anything. She's a sorceress. Yes. With sapphire eyes, of course. Just read the book. Volume 3. Even when you live in a safe city, you should watch out for the wolves that lurk in the night. Something more impossible to master than mass hypnosis is revealed within these pages. Mass hypnosis? Okay, dang. So that's what it was, huh? Night came. The faint howl of a wild beast could be heard echoing in the distance. It seemed to be the cry of a wolf. Naughty sat on her bed and lifted her long sleeves to reveal a bone-white armband, carved in the fashion of a coiling snake. The serpent's head was strikingly lifelike, with its mouth stretched open to reveal its fangs. Its neck was reared back as if ready to pounce on its prey the very next moment. The snake's slithering body was wrapped around her arm, emitting a dangerous aura under the rays of the magical lamps that lit the room. "Good night, my dear sister." Naughty gently patted the armband, rubbing her pinky playfully along the snake's tail. Shortly after, the magic lamps went out and the entire room was draped in darkness. The darkness of night brought Naughty boundless power, so Naughty was already wise to the unknown presence the moment it entered the room. Sitting on the bed, Naughty could clearly see Dietrich as he quietly gathered her clothes and felt his way around it in the dark. It became harder and harder for Naughty to hold back her laughter, until Dietrich was just in front of her. Dietrich met the same dazzling eyes that occupied his mind all day, but her eyes were somehow different now. They were no longer blue like water as Dietrich had seen that day. At this moment, they were filled with the night, devoid of waves, tranquil like the depths of the sea. "Here, drink the water in this cup." That was the last thing Dietrich heard before his consciousness faded away. Okay. Got some reverse thingy there. Even a dog can learn basic things, like upper class etiquette, or so insists a certain nonsense teacher from afar. The cup fell from his languid hand as Dietrich collapsed to the floor. Naughty crouched beside Dietrich and relieved him of the saber sheathed from upon his waist. She stroked the hilt of the blade for a moment before pulling back her hand, and a black gemstone that had been inlaid in the hilt fell into her palm. "How convenient. You have brought the Eye of Eternal Night right to me. Thank you." Removing the snake armband as she spoke, she placed the black gemstone in the mouth of the snake. Scales and flesh began to quickly ripple from the snake's head down to its body. A small black snake's cord uncoiled in Naughty's hands, slithering off her palm and falling to the floor. The snake began to enlarge, forming into a massive python with red eyes and black scales. Its twisting body almost filled the whole room. Naughty extended her hand, and as the magical lamps illuminated the room, the python began to shrink down again and coiled back around her arm. Are you hiding?" Naughty turned her gaze to beneath the bed, under which she found a dog. It was trembling uncontrollably, probably frightened by the python a moment before. "Oh, what a pity. I want to turn you into a wolf, but it seems you turned into a dog instead." Although Naughty's words seemed to be apologizing, her voice lacked any hint of remorse. Dietrich still hadn't realized what had happened yet. It was only by pure instinct that he had scurried under the bed. Only then did he begin to come to his senses. He tried to say something after hearing Naughty's words, but no matter how hard he tried, only "woof, woof, woof" would come out. After hearing himself, Dietrich panicked and dashed out from under the bed. No matter how many times Dietrich leaped in front of the mirror, or how many times he howled in disbelief, the reflection of a striking young noble never appeared again. Dietrich then turned with a snarl and leaped towards Naughty. Without even being the least bit startled, she simply glanced at him with folded arms. Suddenly Dietrich would no longer move towards her, no matter how hard he tried. "That's not the proper etiquette for addressing a lady. It seems you need to be trained."
God dang. Turn into a dope.
Be a good dog. Yes, there's no reward for getting it right, but there's still a punishment for getting it wrong.
The witch in black makeup smirked.
Allow me to introduce myself again. I am not Frigga, but perhaps you're more familiar with my nickname. People call me the Enchantress of the Night.
As she spoke, her long golden hair began to gradually darken, eventually turning black as the night sky outside the window. Her once sky blue eyes are now pitch black, ushering the darkness of night.
I am your master now. Of course I'll need to train you well.
Not Frigga knelt down and placed a necklace that seemingly appeared out of nowhere on the still struggling Dietrich. The necklace shrank in size until it fit perfectly around his furry neck. No matter how hard he thrashed his hand about or clawed at it, the necklace would not budge.
We've already wasted so much time. Come, we're leaving.
With that, not Frigga set off towards the city. Dietrich whimpered along the way with all the strength he could muster, wishing he could simply run back to his villa, but he couldn't. No matter how hard he tried, the necklace not Frigga had placed on him seemed to somehow control him, so he had no choice but to follow behind her. Not Frigga glanced back at the reluctant Dietrich, dawdling behind her, and curled a strand of her hair around her finger.
Although it is certainly amusing to watch you struggle in your current state, you are much too noisy. So unless you'd like a taste of my new Silence of the Night spell, you'd better keep your yapping mouth shut.
The whole world seemed to fall into silence at that moment. Intuition told Dietrich that it'd be best not to become the latest test subject for not Frigga's new spell. Message from the editor. Thank you for your support, everyone. We've managed to snag our erstwhile author from the bowels of the cat's tail. Though they look drunker than a sodden dandelion, continued civilization should pose no problem. We hope for your continued support from here on out as well. Cat's tail. Is this Diona? Dietrich witnessed the fall of the House of Lawrence. Who knew where Mother's kitty had gone? His father, driven to distraction, and his mother, hysterical, were so close by, and yet, no matter how hard how he shouted, they did not pay him any heed. Arf! Dietrich lowered his head, but before he could speak again, the ground opened up beneath him. A pair of old crone's hands stretched out from the ground, seizing him by the neck. Then he fell, and his fall seemed not to end, till at last he crashed to earth at the feet of the old witch. Strangely, it hurt not at all. Something hooked onto Dietrich's necklace, and he found himself hoisted up bodily. All before him was darkness, and he could only see one thing, that which was below him. It was a steaming pot, filled with some unknown black substance that gurgled and belched. There were some solids in there, too, and when he looked, he could espy spider webs and the bones of venomous vipers. And into his ear crept not Frigga's voice.
I have you now, my last ingredient. Once I've put you in, my stew of life eternal shall be complete.
Woof, woof, woof. Let me go, you dastardly witch. Dietrich struggled with all his might, not thinking for a moment that the bond of the hitherto inescapable necklace would suddenly be so easily slipped. And so he fell. He heard nothing more, naught else, but the howling wind and Frigga's crazed laughter whipping about his ears.
a good person. One who smiles as she gives out dog biscuits. What is the true identity of the strange young woman in the familiar forest? Wake up. Dietrich felt his body being rocked gently. Are you alright? A hand reached over as if to check his breathing. It was a familiar voice, gentle as the April breeze, and genial as the March sun. Dietrich forced his eyes open, and before him was the golden-haired, blue-eyed girl. Ah, wonderful. You're finally awake, she said with a smile. This place, is this Celestia? Dietrich wondered. No, I'm afraid it's just an ordinary forest, the girl replied. Then Dietrich's senses returned to him, and he knew then that the young lady before him was the source of all his troubles. The wicked old witch Frigga. In a flash he had recovered, and leaping a distance away from her, he maintained a guarded stance. Don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. I must have forgotten to introduce myself. My name is Magdalene. I'm, well, not Frigga's younger sister. So saying, Magdalene gave the finger behind her back a twirl, a calming spell of light magic, and she approached Dietrich. Come now, it's all right. At this, did Dietrich indeed calm down. He desired to ask the girl before him how she could understand him, but he could still do naught but bark. Oh, this? It's just a small spell. My sister knows it too. Woof, woof, woof. So that crone did hear what I said, and simply pretended not to, so she might string me along. Well, still, Frigga is actually a gentle person. And speaking of her sister, Magdalene smiled gorgeously once more. What? Heavens, I spoke ill of a witch to her face. Oh, what a bad boy. Still, discipline is a master's duty, so there's nothing for it. The curtains rise on the witch's cruel secret. Do witches trade their brains for mighty magic? I can't get through to her at all, Dietrich thought to himself as he followed the golden-haired maiden, who rambled on about something or another. Ah, don't say that. If my sister heard you, she would be most angry. Magdalene said this with a quiet voice as she looked at Dietrich. Woof, 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 woof. Well, you didn't tell her, do you? Wait. How'd you know what I was thinking? Ah, but it is too late now. Dietrich lifted his head in alarm at the rising pressure above him. Her expression had not changed at all, but even so, knew that the girl before him was now changed. It seems that your nightmare has been of some use, for your memory at least. But as I see it, you are still far from adequate. That proud, cold voice from on high. Yes, surely this was not Frigga. Well then, I suppose I shall leave the essence of the inmost heart inside you. What on earth was the essence of the inmost heart? Wait, no. Magdalene had mentioned just such a thing. Don't worry, the nightmare from before was a falsehood. My sister placed the essence of the inmost heart into you, and it can see your fears. That is why you dreamed of the things you fear most. But I think that my sister must have done it for your good. She is, after all, a most gentle soul. Dietrich's fur stood on end, and he trembled as he peeked at Frigga, banishing any other thoughts from his mind. Ah, it seems that my teachings have been quite useful indeed. Well then, let us be on our way. Dietrich's frightened appearance pleased his master, the witch. "What does the death of a warm spring day feel like?" So the young man said one morning, in defiance of all common logic. "I suppose it must feel furry?" This was a forest without end. A fine mist shrouded the area, and the golden rays of dawn shone through the canopy, scattering themselves upon the emerald earth below. At this moment, Magdalene was clutching a dog. Indeed, this was Dietrich. As she kept up a leisurely pace, the golden-haired maiden traipsed down the gnarled roots of massive trees like an elegant swan, lithely making her way through the woods. How fortunate that she is currently Magdalene. If it were that hag, not Frigga, she would certainly make me walk or use some sort of magic to force me to run. This path is not made for dogs, no, not even humans could traverse it. There isn't even a road, only trees. It would be nice if Magdalene could keep carrying me like this. Dietrich's thoughts meandered as he turned to look at Magdalene. The morning light danced upon her face. She possessed a beauty that could not be considered lesser than any noblewoman's. Her light complexion and gentle expression made her seem delicate, like the short-lived morning dew borne on flower petals. Magdalene's skin is so fair, I dare say none of the nobles I have met can compare to her, Dietrich thought as he gazed upon the girl. Let me tell you a story. That is, I'm already dead, Magdalene suddenly spoke. Is it Chi-Chi? After all, none can live and still obtain release. What? A long time ago, there was a witch who gave birth to twin daughters. However, witches are unable to keep two offspring from the same generation. That is the price they pay, the cost of their enormous power. But this witch had already reached the apex of mastery in dark magic. She offered her own life force to preserve the life of her twins. What a loving mother. Still, this solution could not last forever, and as the last of the witch's life force faded, the day of their fated farewell arrived at last. In death, the witch was finally freed from the world. The surviving elder sister, Notfrigga, inherited everything and felt entirely responsible for the passing of her younger sister, Magdalene. Luckily for Notfrigga, she inherited the witch's talent for dark magic. Using herself as a vessel, she summoned Magdalene's soul using complicated magical symbols and obscure incantations. Then she read all of the leather-bound books in the tower, and combining what she learned with dark magic and alchemy, created a new vessel. However, the ability to place her sister's soul inside the vessel and bring her back to life was not only a forbidden art in light magic, it was also exceptionally difficult, especially for Notfrigga, who knew no light magic whatsoever. Nevertheless, Notfrigga's insistence on bringing Magdalene back spurred her on, and eventually she found a solution. She transformed the vessel into a serpent bracelet that she wore on her wrist and set out on an adventure. My beloved sister, when this is all over, we will never be apart again. I should just stuff that noisy puppy yapper of yours. Woof woof. That day the young maiden gave her loyal dog something precious. Okay, volume 11. The last ray of light was fading, and darkness was about to engulf the forest. It's time to switch, my dear elder sister. Suddenly Magdalene put down Dietrich, whom she had been holding in her arms. One last thing, elder sister. I have a present for you. I hope you like it. With this, light slowly began to shine from her fingers, gradually forming a dazzling ball of light. This was Magdalene's light magic. Alright, from now on, you have to be well behaved. Shh, don't say anything. What? Why are you being so mysterious? Before Dietrich could react, he had quietly muttered something, but his speech was interrupted when he suddenly found a slender hand tightly covering his mouth. A moment later, the girl, now transformed, hastily stuffed something into his mouth. What's this? It was the hilt of Dietrich's sword. The sword that once proudly hung from his belt. Dietrich opened his mouth instinctively to say something. Bite down on it if you want to live. Nordfrigga raised one hand into the air, and Dietrich felt unable to breathe as the collar around his neck grew tighter and tighter. Powerless to resist, it was all he could do to bite down as instructed. Listen carefully. In a moment, you will need to defend yourself with this sword. Even though you're an ignorant and useless spoiled brat, it would still be a lot of trouble for me if you died here. Nordfrigga raised Dietrich's head and spoke in a low voice. After all, I haven't finished teaching you a lesson yet. It would ruin my fun if you died too easily. The Witch of the Night finished speaking and retracted her hand to adjust her garments. The collar loosened again, returning to normal tightness. At once, air rushed past his teeth and in through his nostrils, filling up his lungs again. Dietrich still did not dare to relax his jaw grip on the sword. However, so he had to make do with somewhat impairing breathing. Before long, the sound of commotion was heard in the distance. Commotion was heard in the distance. Not entirely sure what was going on there. Apparently there was a witch and this noble boy, aristocratic boy, some aristocratic boy did something and something or other and something. There was a witch. The boy tried to steal her away, but then got turned into a dog. And then he got stolen away, and yeah. Yeah. I wonder if I can find this mechanical beast. Perpetual mechanical array with this group. I'm gonna try. Doesn't feel natural, but I'll make do. That's no good.
里流消滅。
リズムに乗れるかい？ふっ、ロックの時間だぞ。ほっ、
リオナの特製ドリンクじゃ。
失礼。
Kinda works. Just gotta get used to its what?
もっと熱くなれ。シュッほっよっ。
おーや、安静しなさいよっぱらい。
踊りなさい。桜吹雪。
捕まえたにゃ。
火花を散らせ。あたいの最強の音を聞け。
雪を前へ。
リオナの特製ドリンクじゃ。
リズムに乗れるかい？火花を散らせ。ほっ、ふっ、
踊りなさい。神里流消滅。
So, yeah. It works. We're good. The team works. Xiangling still died, but just a little kink there I gotta work out on, I guess. Xiangling dying is no good. We've got basically two shielders. I do like the damage boost and the crit boost. Power applier. Is this good enough? Noblesse oblige. Noblesse oblige is always good. I really don't know how this works, but apparently it does, so... Oh, right. Well, you know, this kind of makes sense. I might have to boost this button up a bit. Her energy recharge seemed fine, so if I boost up even more, then I guess it'll only be better. Only be better. But the damage that Ayaka put out, pretty sure that's good enough. fact, I didn't actually expect it to do that much damage. Oh my god. It's actually pretty damn sweet. Sweet. Alright, that's about as much as I can do. What new? Weapons are all good. Oh, I would like everything to be at least level 80. Clearing the characters and the weapons and the artifacts, I guess, at least level 12. But they took it from other people, so it should be fine. Especially Ayaka's, which is 20. But those are pretty shit 20s, but you know, Blizzard Strayer, you don't expect that to be any good. Xiangling, she dies too easily. What's her health at? It's even more than Ayaka's. But she seemed to die way too quick in that engagement. She has Albedos, which is all 20. She has Bennett, which mostly 20. Guess I could level up the flower. No, probably not the flower. Maybe the feather. Feather really is just attack though. The flower makes more sense, but it doesn't have any HP percentage, which you know is not that great. But it's good. Have a new team ready. All right. I like how just dashing gives her induced cryo or something. Is it called induced? Induction? I don't know. What is it called?
刀は技を支え、匠は宝を有す。
No, I think I might be better if I just look here. Infusion. Yeah. That is fucking powerful. But whatever. Big Paimon. I'm gonna talk a bit. My throat's still a bit fucked up.
オイラの最高の仲間来たんだな。何か興味のある話題はあるか？一緒に話そうぜ。
You talk about Ayaka. Wonder Maid. I guess Wonder Maid would be Noelle, but let's talk about cat people and dog people.
猫と犬。お前はどっちが好きだ？
Oh, I prefer Paimon. I prefer Paimon too. Yeah, she's so cute.
うわ、それ反則だぞ。おいや違う。おいらはペットじゃない。
No, that's so nice. I know, I find myself getting real attached to Paimon. From everything she does, like stupid ass things she says and stuff like that. Oh yeah, Toki Alley Tales. I gotta look for these, right? Because I haven't collected enough the pages. 6 kits now. Who knows? Lone Sword. Ah, I had to do the Xingqiu's story. Let's get to it. This will probably be the last story. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's not done. I'll probably do it today. Well, not today. I'm not reading it, but I'm just going to collect the pages today. Well, at least look for them. Alright. Let's see it. Volume 1. Popular martial arts novel in Lea Harbor. In a world without elemental energy or alchemy, a tale unfolds of love and hate between friends and foes. This volume tells of the origins of Jin, the 72nd's revenge.
I don't know the word for it, so I'm just gonna move on. A single sword's light pierced the night air, unchallenged by any star or moon. The autumn wind in the mountains wept aloud, following the whirling dance of the lonesome blade. Driving wind and falling rain accompanied a single traveler on his journey home. This person's hair was wild, and his face fierce, and he seemed most fey indeed. His clothes were thin, and he swayed his way, and he swayed this way and that in the center of the homeward path, like one sick or hurt to the quick, seeming more like some ghoul than a living man. Interesting use of words, I guess. He had been on the path 3 days. 3 days he had gone hungry and without any sleep. 3 days ago he had a name and a famed sword and his fallen martial arts school, but now he only wore sorrow and worry on his brow, which rolled off him, carried by the sudden rain and onto the mud below, eroding the soil. 3 days ago, that nameless swordsman had started a feud with him, a feud that saw his master and junior buried in the merciless mountain snow, as the screaming snow was stained red. Today he had a new name, Jin the 72nd, for he was the last of the 72 members of their school. He did not know how long he had walked before he heard the sound of carts behind him. Jin the 72nd shuffled to the side of the road and stopped, asking, "Is your cart headed for Tupi village?" The cart driver saluted him and replied, "Few of the carts on this road do not do so." Jin the 72nd then asked, "Then pray will your cart bear another man?" The cart driver said, "It could, but you did not ask if I would." Jin the 72nd did not understand. "If you travel to Tupi village, why would you not take me?" "For you are not I, nor are you," the driver replied. What a waste of words. And no sooner had that been said than the blade left his sheath. The cart driver felt but a single chilling cold, and fell down and fell from his cart to the floor without a struggle, never to speak again. Jin the 72nd was just such a person. Though he had lost everything, even his heart and his bold brashness had ebbed. He had always hated pointlessly talkative people most of all. Riding the blood-stained cart, Jin the 72nd departed for Tupi village. "For you are not I, nor I you." What? Volume 2. This volume tells of Jin the 72nd's arrival in Tupi village. They say that in that faraway land, Tupi meant to burn away vanity's dross to attain the gem of truth. Tupi village lay at the foot of a barren mountain, possible to the outside world only by a single ancient path, the very same that lay beneath Jin the 72nd's feet. The skies were darkening and the wind and rain howled. Jin the 72nd had never had anything to do with Tupi village but for his vengeance, and so he now sought out its village chief. By the time the ox cart had finally trudged its way through the muddy old road to the mountain's base, night fell upon the land, and gloomy clouds cast a boundless shadow as they covered the moon's eyes. Jin the 72nd hid in that shade, drinking the night in, body and soul. In that deep night, the pure white light of the moon shone upon the head of the village chief. Tupi village had never been large, but the chief was no ordinary character. No one knew his name or his past, and no one dared ask. They only knew that his shoulders bore a great blood debt, from a past as crimson as his eyes. For red they were, and sharp like a blade, piercing the hearts of all he gazed upon as he pleased. His character was much the same, like a sharp knife that might pierce another person's heart at any moment, at any time without forewarning. It's time. The chief shook his head and he talked to himself, the cold moonlight dancing over his shaven crown. Outside, a ravenous demon wielded a bloodletting longsword, massacring his followers, one after the other. Though Tupi village was full of evil people, schools and sects had their rules, and so none would dare come knocking with rash provocations and talk of revenge. But Jin the 72nd had no school or sect, and was thus unbound by any such rules. He was but a single starving ghost, with a lone sharp blade, yearning to taste the blood of his enemies. The wind and rain accompanied the din of battle, and the downpour washed away the crimson that had stained the swordsman, only for another layer to be painted on immediately. The crimson swordsman strode forward amid a crimson mist. Many were his wounds, but none could stay his hand. When that mist had at last cleared in the endless deluge, the swordsman crossed the turbid red beneath his feet and stalked up towards the chief's mansion. The din beyond the gates quieted, and only now did the chief raise a cup of wine and scatter the alcohol into the air with a flick, perhaps to toast the fated meeting to come, or as a ritual for his sullied soul. The doors opened. It was Jin the 72nd, his reddened outline juxtaposed against the blinding grey elements outside. "I have questions for you, village chief. You have taken quite a few of my men's lives. Exactly 362. No more, no less." The chief spoke naught, and his face remained still, but the pulsing vein in his temple betrayed the fire within. "Ah, yes, and one dog." So saying, the crimson silhouette tossed a certain object forward. It clattered atop the wine case, and it was the bone of the dog that guarded the door. It had been stewed for a time, and was picked clean almost to the marrow. For in this half an hour, not only did Jin the 72nd snuff out the lives of 362 able men, but had even turned the dog keeping the gate into dog meat stew. What cruelty, what ruthlessness! The village chief let out a terrible scream, and standing, he drew his sword. "Ga-ding! An anti-hero. Should realize that in Volume 1, but ga-dang. This volume tells of Jin the 72nd's duel with the chief of Tupi village. Oh, my throat's gone, but we'll soldier on. The rain had ceased, but light had yet to recue the skies. Jin the 72nd had obtained news of his nemesis from the mouth of the village chief. Now not a thing was left in Tupi village but masterless rooms and masterless spirits, and not even that remained, for this was a world without spirits. This world possessed no elemental power, and so the memories of the dead could not remain in the mortal realm via elemental resonance. The village chief was a formidable foe. His blade was swift as could be, and he had left many wounds on Jin the 72nd, each deep enough to cut bone, but alas, his heart was far too slow. For this was a world without elements, and thus swordsmanship could not be imbued with them. Swordsmanship was thus a question of pure physical skill, not elemental control. The sword is an extension of one's body, and one uses it as an arm would command the fingers, or as one's heart directs the eyes. Though he was skilled indeed in the art of the swift blade, the village chief never understood the value of the heart, and so he fell to a single stroke. Jin the 72nd strode towards the fallen chief, discarding the broken incense burner in his left hand. The chief had focused too narrowly on pouring savage strokes upon the swordsman's body, thinking him too harried to fight back, and had no eyes for his enemy's left hand, which could have been empty. And in a flash the incense burner had struck the chief of Tupi village on the forehead, sending him tumbling into the wall, where he then collapsed, immobile. Underhanded villain. But only the wind answered him. The villain, gripping the bloodied censer, said not a word. The person you're looking for is in the barren mountains beyond this village. Go seek your death there. But the villain had departed, and all that remained to answer him was the rustling of the wind and the crackling of wild flames. This volume tells of Jin the 72nd's treacherous trek into the mountains. Jin the 72nd waited till the rainbow had dispersed before setting off once from Tupi village toward the barren mountains. Ancient legend held that these barren mountains had been brought into being by slashes of the Celestial Emperor's blade, and thus were incredibly hard to scale. Folk tales also held they were called barren, for they had soaked up the tears of the Earth Mother, and thus had become bitterly salty lands where nothing grew. The barren mountains had once been mined for gold and gems, but the mines had all been ruined in an earthquake, their workers buried within. No one tried ever again to create the facilities to mine the mountain's bounty, as caverns were infested with wicked beasts and bandits. And among these evils hidden in the mountains was Jin the 72nd's nemesis. The swordsman's shoulders shivered. I got so many S's. And his gait hesitant, for the wounds he had been given in the battle against the chief of Tupi village hindered him still. He knew that many pairs of eyes stared out at him from between the withered rocks, and the breath of beasts who had caught the scent of his blood was all around. Long years of bloodshed had honed Jin the 72nd's senses to their limit. He sensed that the lifeless mountains were in fact a giant death trap. Bandits and villains lay in wait for him to enter some narrow grotto or squeeze into a tiny gorge, or pass by a collapsed mine shaft. Then they would sit upon him in the darkness with knives and finish him. But from the looks of things now, the steep mountains now looked like they might be enough to kill Jin the 72nd. The swordsman limped with every step he took, and the road was small and treacherous. Every so often gravel would slip loose beneath his feet. At the same time, upon a cliff twisted about with sinuous dead trees, two figures squinted as they observed the tiny wanderer. He has been worse for wear ever since he departed from the mountain's base. If we but leave him to the treacherous trek, he will surely fall into the abyss below. So said a burnt thin old crone. She glanced to her side, her icy death in her jade blue eyes, sharp as a viper hidden in a rocky cleft. Not so. She turned to face the booming voice of a corpulent old man. He slew 362 at Tupi village, and even cooked the dog at the gate for stew. Though he may have been badly wounded by the village chief to the point where he can barely move, we should still beware of him. The old woman vanished into the withered forest with a displeased noise. The old man watched a while longer as the lame swordsman stopped for a moment more before patting his large belly and slowly departing. Not a single withered tree or blade of dying grass was touched as he did. Then suddenly the sky turned dark with gathering storm clouds, and mordant rain again began to fall lightly. In the mountain rain, the wounded Jin the 72nd leaned on his sword like a crutch, and struggled forward. But the chilling cold and the loss of blood was too much for him to bear, and he fell upon the gravel and barren stone. Just as the darkness took him, he caught a glimpse of the billowing hem of azure blue skirts. He could have sworn he'd seen that sight before. But that's the end. It's the end of the collection. I don't understand. It's not finished though. Ga-ding, 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 ga-ding.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. God damn. God damn. How am I even gonna do this? Let's go around Inazuma and look. Where have I? I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Shit.
刀は技を支え、匠は宝を有す。
よっせい
まずはこれを。時間か。
よっよっ
雪を前
よっクオーバーヒヨ捕まえたにゃ
みたいだ。死の静寂。
Oh my god, I have been looking for this. So there it is.
火花を散らせよっふっよっ料理の時間だよ
What?
はっ
No, I wanna.
よっよっ
失礼
よっリズムに乗れるかい
Nah, it's useless. Waste of time. Come here. And go away.
すぐ行く。
踊りなさい
よっすっよっよっすっよっそれそれよっすっ
Damn it. Oh well.
宝探し。これもまた一興です。やっそれ。
高所決定反省しなさい。
失礼。
Here we go, enigmatic page. Nice. One, two, three, and theming. So I've got the thing, now I've got to mark this thing on the map, just put it there and then, very good. Alright, let's head for it. Yes, I've done it. Now I have an extra electroculus. Man, things will just come to you. You never actually have to go for it. Okay, this is roughly over here at the O. Since the whole thing's open, I could just jump in. Right. It's on the bank somewhere.
Yep.
I don't think I see it over there. So it must be down here. Yo. Is that a hole? Can I go in there? Assume I can. Indeed I can. Give me a rest here for a second. Right. Run away! Okay, that's not it.
よいしょ。
Want to join my world? Okay, sure. Let's see. Now, how do you get in there? Oh, what are you doing in there?
よいしょ。ふうふう。へへ。ほい。
How do you get in there? Hello, how you doing? How do you get in there? Have I been in there? Probably. But I don't remember it. Maybe you gotta go down to go up. You bastards.
雪を前。
火花を散らせ。
These ones look alive actually. No? Good. So there's a room over there. I just gotta figure out how to get there first. I'll have to kill these fuckers.
もっと熱くなれ。ほっシュッせい。あたいの最強の音を聞け。リズムに乗れる。
失礼。踊りなさい。
火花を散らせ。はっ。おーやっリオナの特権。やっ
雪を前。
Well, he didn't do anything, but still deserved to die. How do you go up? Oh, there's something getting that route. I'm used to that dash jump. Can't seem to dash jump no more. At least not with Aika. Alright, take me up. What is that? How do you get in there? There's nothing in there, or maybe somewhere else entirely. This definitely looks like a path. Well, it's them out of the way. Now we can actually check how to get to there. Am I hearing stuff above? What is that noise? Is it her drum? God damn it. I thought it was like some weird secret I found, but it's just her drums. It's just rattling away. Let me just fit through this hole?
Yo.
Okay, there's a stairwell. Let me in! So close. Or maybe it is all the way down, and then you can take a stairwell back up or something. Maybe here. Them gone? Fucking annoying pieces of shit. What is the point of this spot though? Am I missing something? It's like an epic puzzle this. You can see all parts of it, but you cannot enter it. Unless... oh. Turns out you can enter it. That's a pretty good use. Oh, I've already been in here. So yeah, it is go down to go up. Dang it. What a waste of time. Well, if there was a page here, I would have taken it, yeah? Yeah. I'm looking at Shinyan again. What? Is it actually just defense? Yep, defense, defense, defense. And, it doesn't say anything. So we can just assume it's defense. Just the weapon could be better with defense, but you know, it's fine. There's a ton of defense. It's good for this move, but not entirely good for this move. I mean, if the move actually scales off the defense, then that'll actually be great, but it doesn't seem to. Yeah, because this scales off of attack. So it's a bit strange. What do you build her as? Defense or attack? I guess if you want to do the damage, then attack. But if you want the shield to be strong, you go defense. This is strange. Charge attacks gains a 50 attack bonus equal to 50% of her defense. So C6 is pretty much defense? I don't know, she's a weird character. Would it be better to use Amber? Probably not, right? Yeah, this is not that great. I can see why no one would use Amber. Poor Amber. You need like a buff. I want to see more on the story stuff. I think there was one here. And there might have been one here. It's all speculation at this point. Wait, would have been over here. So technically the page is right here. But of course. Very nice. And there's one over here. Also one by the Hilicho place. Let's see, I need to see it closer. Okay. It's right next to this ground. I have no time for you fucking spectre bitches. Stay away from me. I hate specters.
hate it. Kinda miss Sayu. We're just having her roll around. It's great. Fuck off. The rest of your friends have fucked off. Why are you still here? I think I've gotten it. I don't see nothing there. Right. There's one over here.
踊りなさい。やっ
Damn it.
せい、料理の時間だよ。捕まえたにゃ。飲みすぎだよ。火花を散らせ。よっ。熱々でしょ。ふっや。ロックの時間だぞ。ほっほっや。もっと熱くなれ。ぜい。はっ。
Are they always there? Anyway, I need this shit anyway, so...
命を捨てに来た。
雪を前。
話が通じないならただ料理の時間。私を甘く見ないで。リオなら
踊りなさい。
やはりダメだったか。
Takeuchi Handguard. Why does it say famed Handguard then?
雪を前。
最強の音を聞け。火花を散らせ。リズムに乗れるかい。よっシュッグオパー。火を
奥の手だ。
ゲッシーカッ発生しなさいよバラさん。料理の時間だよ。
この手は食わぬ。
じゃあもっと熱くなれ。捕まえたんだ。
踊りなさい。神里流。消滅。
奥の手だ。
Dang. Get fucked. Where is the thing? It's apparently on this boat, so I must have gotten it. Yeah. I don't see it here now. That means it must have been gone. Must have been gone. There's one over here. Guess we can fly over from here. Maybe I should equip that fan. Oh well. What's done is done. Okay, should be that furthest one. But of course it is. Let's land on this and regenerate. Pretty sure I should have gone there as well, but we'll take a look. Look at this guy being a little bitch. Get fucked! There it is. Get rid of this. How much do I have? 9. That means there's one more on Serai, right? And destroy. So, there must be one on the ship, which I probably should already have. There's one over here, which I'm not too sure, but I've been through the entire place and I didn't really feel like doing the puzzle again, so maybe. One I just collected over there, and there's one by the shrine, which I collected. There's one by this shrine, there's nothing there. There's one over here, which I collected apparently. This one I just collected. So we could check the boat. We could go through that puzzle thing. Let's check by the boat. I should have gotten the one by the boat, but we'll see. You over here? No? Huh. Wonder if it's on the mast. You got a page here in front of me? I didn't see anything page-like here. Nope. Okay, it must be in the boat. Please, I don't want to fight no monsters. Okay, they actually didn't fight. Good. I should have collected everything here already.
Holy shit. Explosion. It's not actually over here. It's not here. I see it. Hard to tell if I've gotten it already or not. I'm pretty sure I probably have, so yes. I'm not too sure what to do. Wasn't there another level to this ship? Anyone beneath this? Apparently not. Roughly around here. Remember, you could go through one of these doors. Is it this door? No, there's no door here. No, I probably already collected the page. I'm just looking for nothing. I at least wanted to collect this whole area, but seems like I'm kind of out of time. Okay, looks like I'm gonna have to end the stream here. Catch you guys in Friday Night Gaming. Alright, we read a few books and we learned quite a bit of shit. Guess I'll see you in the next one. Peach.